Hello and welcome. Let me ask you something. What if you'd accidentally given the government an interest-free loan? That sounds a bit crazy, right? But honestly, thousands of people in the UK do exactly that every single year just by overpaying their tax. Today, we're going to figure out how to get that money back. And yep, you heard me right. We could be talking about hundreds, maybe even thousands of pounds of your own hard-earned money just sitting in HMRC's bank account instead of yours. So the real question is, are you one of them? Stick around because we are about to find out. Okay, so let's dive right in. And to make sure we get this absolutely spot on, we're following a fantastic guide put together by the experts over at My Tax Accountant. These are the folks who see these kinds of cases every single day. So we're going to walk through their professional advice to make this whole thing as clear and simple as possible for you. So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the basics. Then we'll help you figure out if you're actually due some cash. After that, we'll go through the step-by-step process for claiming it, highlight the common mistakes to avoid, and even cover what to do if things go wrong. And finally, we'll talk about getting some professional help. It's the full journey from I'm confused to I've got this. Right then, Section 1. What on earth is a tax refund anyway? It's really important to get this straight. This is not some kind of bonus from the government or a lottery win. It is simply HMRC giving you back money that was already yours to begin with. So here's the bottom line. A tax refund, sometimes called a rebate, is what you get back when you've paid too much tax. Now, this can happen for all sorts of reasons, and we'll definitely get into those. But the one thing you really need to remember is that HMRC doesn't always sort this out for you automatically. A lot of the time, the ball is in your court to check your numbers and actually make the claim. And now for the million-dollar question. Well, hopefully a 100-pound question for you. Could you be owed money? This is where it gets really interesting, so you might want to lean in a little closer for this bit. We're going to look at the most common ways people overpay, and we'll use a couple of real-life examples to see if any of this sounds a bit familiar. As you can see from this, overpaying tax isn't just for one type of person. It can happen to anyone. Whether you're an employee on the PAYE system, that's pay as you earn, or you're self-employed, a construction worker under the CIS scheme, or even retired, you could be due a refund. It happens way more than you think. Let's bring this to life with a couple of quick stories. So first up, meet Emma. She's just landed a new job in London. How exciting is that? But like so many people who start a new role, her new employer didn't have her correct tax details from day one, so they had to put her on an emergency tax code. This basically meant her tax was worked out without her tax-free allowance, leading to a pretty chunky overpayment every single month. And get this. By the time it was all sorted out, Emma had overpaid by a massive £1,200. I mean, that is a huge chunk of cash to be missing from your pay packet, and thankfully, she was able to claim every penny of it back. This sort of thing happens all the time. Okay, now let's look at David. David's a freelancer. If you're self-employed, you'll know about making advanced tax payments, which are called payments on account. They're usually based on how much you earned the year before. Now, David had a brilliant year last year, but this year was a little bit quieter. The problem? His tax payments were still based on those much higher earlier earnings. And the result of that? Well, David ended up overpaying his tax bill by £1,800. It was only when he filed his self-assessment tax return and put in his actual lower income that HMRC could see the difference and send him that pretty substantial refund. It's a classic story for freelancers and small business owners. And here's a little pro tip for you. Did you know this isn't just about the last tax year? You can actually go back and claim a refund for the last 4 tax years. So if you're sitting there thinking you might have overpaid a while ago, it is absolutely worth looking into. Seriously, don't just leave that money sitting there with HMRC. Okay, so you're thinking you might be owed a refund. What do you do now? Well, this next section is the real nitty-gritty part of our guide. We are going to walk through the exact steps you need to take. Don't worry, I promise we'll break it down and make it super manageable. So, the whole thing really boils down to these 4 key steps. First, figure out why you think you overpaid. Second, get all your paperwork together. Third, officially submit your claim. And fourth, the best bit, wait for that refund to land in your bank account. Simple, right? Let's take a closer look at what each step involves. So let's zoom in on step 2, gathering your documents. Honestly, this is such a critical step. Depending on your situation, you might need your P60, which is that summary you get at the end of the tax year, or a P45 if you've recently left a job. Payslips, receipts for your expenses, pension statements, they're all super important. Getting all your ducks in a row now will make everything else so much smoother. Now, how do you actually go about submitting the claim? Well, this isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. The way you claim totally depends on your personal situation. If you're an employee, it's often done online through the gov.uk website. If you're self-employed or in construction, it's usually handled through your self-assessment tax return. And for pensioners, there are a few specific forms you'll need to track down. But that's not all. Here's where a lot of people go wrong. We know this process can feel a bit tricky, and it's so easy to make a tiny mistake that causes a huge delay. So in this section, we're going to share some top tips on the most common mistakes, and, more importantly, how you can sidestep them completely. The number one mistake, without a doubt, is being on the wrong tax code. Have a look at your payslip for codes like BR, D0, or an emergency one like 1257LW1/M1. These codes can mean you're paying way too much tax right from the get-go. The fix is pretty straightforward. Get on the phone to HMRC and ask them to correct it. That'll help with your refund claim and stop you from overpaying in the future. Another huge reason for delays is just submitting an incomplete form. It is so easy to miss a box or forget a tiny detail, so the fix here is simple. Triple check everything before you send it off. Make absolutely 100% sure your national insurance number is correct and that you've put in the right bank details. A simple typo here can cause an automatic rejection or send your refund into a black hole for months. So what happens if you've done everything right, but you're still waiting? Or even worse, what if your claim actually gets rejected? It's a really stressful situation, but please don't panic. Stay with me. The next point might surprise you, because this part of the guide covers exactly how to troubleshoot these problems. First things first, let's just manage our expectations. How long should this actually take? Well, as you can see here, it really varies. An online claim is usually the quickest, taking maybe 1 to 4 weeks. But if you send it by post, you could be waiting up to 12 weeks. The key thing is not to start worrying until that typical timeframe has passed. If it has, then it's time to chase it up. And if your claim is rejected and you're sure it's a mistake, you absolutely have the right to appeal. The first step is to just ask for an informal review. Give HMRC a call and ask them to have another look. If that doesn't solve it, you can submit a formal appeal. And as a final resort, you can escalate your case to an independent tax tribunal. It's really good to know you have these options. Wow, we've covered a lot on how to get back overpaid tax. But now let's switch gears a bit from being reactive to being proactive. How can you stop this from happening in the first place? And what can you do if this all still feels just a little bit too much? Preventing overpayment can be pretty simple. Just get into the habit of checking your tax code at the start of every tax year. Let HMRC know straight away if your income changes a lot. Keep really good, organized records of any work expenses you can claim. And here's a big one. Sign up for your online HMRC Personal Tax Account. It gives you a clear view of exactly what's going on. So, after all of that, let's just pause and ask one final, really important question. Are you completely 100% confident that you're paying the right amount of tax right now and that you haven't overpaid in the past? If there's even a little niggle of doubt, it might just be time to get some expert help. Because sometimes, for that true peace of mind, you just need an expert to cast their eye over things. And that is exactly where my tax accountant comes in. They can review everything for you, handle the entire claims process, and make sure you get back every single penny you're owed without any of the stress. If you'd like to have a chat with them, it's super easy. You can reach out directly on WhatsApp or just give them a call. The number is 07854 255 375. Or if you prefer to type it all out, you can just pop them an email with your question. The address is info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. Their team is all set and ready to help. And finally, if this guide has been helpful for you, we would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the My Tax Accountant YouTube channel. That way you won't miss out on any more clear, practical advice for managing your taxes. Thanks so much for joining us today.